In this video, we'll be taking a look at some instances where cops arrested people who later turned out to be FBI. Let's get to it. This might just be one of the best interactions with police I've seen in a long time. A South Sudanese citizen was just sitting and minding his own business when cops approached him and started asking questions.
For what? Because I think you have warrant. You think? Yeah. That's an illusion. That's an illusion. You think?
It seems like they're assuming that this man is someone he's not. The man accuses the cops of racial profiling right from the get-go. After a lot of arguing, they put the man in handcuffs. Now this is where things get heated. You can hear the man asking the cops to check his ID.
Matter of fact, look at my ID.
After a while, they finally do check his ID.
Hey, watch how funny this is. Go ahead, look at it. No, don't hate me. Look at it.
Oh,
what does that say?
Fucked up.
What does that say? Oh.
And it hits them like a ton of bricks. Do you see the shock on their faces? That's all because the guy is an FBI agent. This has to be one of the best messing with the wrong guy encounters ever. Anyway, the man asks for a supervisor, and when he arrives, the man asks for their cards.
Your card is yours. Yep, you can have my card. And I'm gonna follow the report on you, and you. Because you guys are all stupid.
It's funny how the cops have shut their mouths at this point. And look at the supervisor. He's shaking in his boots. They all know they might not have a job after this encounter. Here you can see a cop talking to a man who says he's an FBI agent. The man even shows the cop his credentials, but the cop still doesn't trust him, so he calls the station and asks to check the plates.
This is Advanced Wiring Company.
Do you work for a wiring company?
It's a covert vehicle, sir.
Okay.
When it comes back to a wiring company and not a government agency, the man says that it's a covert vehicle. Here we learn that the man actually called this cop, and the cop is wondering how he got his phone number.
One who called me here, sir. How did you get my phone number?
I can't give you that information.
I ain't saying he can't tell me how he got my information.
The cop then lets this guy know that he's been detained at this point, but he doesn't put him in handcuffs just yet. The reason why he's detaining him is that he's not being cooperative. When the guy asks the cop if he wants his registration, the cop refuses and says that he's waiting for his supervisor.
Would you like to see the registration, sir?
I don't really want anything from you at this point. My supervisor's on the way.
Excellent.
The cop then speaks on his radio some more and says that the man's name is Special Agent Hatton out of Jacksonville. The cops add that the man keeps talking on his radio, but nothing comes back. Then he changes his mind and says that he does hear something now. In any case, they keep checking the man, but when they couldn't confirm anything, they finally put him in cuffs. After spending some time in a police car, the man asks the cop to call an ambulance.
On 911, call. I need a medical attention right now. Unlock me.
When the ambulance finally arrives, the cop explains the whole situation and says that the man complains about shortness of breath and vision loss.
Started complaining of shortness of breath, vision loss.
While paramedics are putting the guy in their vehicle, the cop is making excuses for himself. He says that the guy turned out to be legit, but that he was acting suspicious and that's why he was detained. This video starts with the arrest of one man. After the cops put him in handcuffs, one of them asks him about his credentials. When the guy says that the FBI issued those for him back when he was working for them, the cop starts reading the man his rights.
So the right to remain silent. Anything you say can will be used in the court of law. Yeah. If the right to talk to an attorney have been present with you prior to any question if you wish one. Sure. If you cannot afford one will be provided to you by the courts.
Then he says that he arrested him because of red and blue lights.
So the reason you're in cuffs, okay, is per NRS. Unless you're a sworn officer.
I know in Nevada everybody says.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have red and blues.
Sure.
He then goes back to this man's credentials and is surprised that he worked for the FBI.
You work for the FBI at one point?
I've contracted with the Department of Justice and the FBI.
The guy reveals that he contracted with the FBI and also the Department of Justice. He then goes on to explain his current job and where he was headed.
A contractor for Southwest Gas.
For Southwest, so that's like
here, yeah.
That's your primary job?
Yeah, it's my part-time job, and I have my own cybersecurity company.
The video cuts out, so we can't really see what happened next, but you can just tell that the cops knew they had the wrong guy. Now, this one's a prime example of cops making excuses for themselves after bullying people, even when those people are federal agents. But let's start from the beginning, shall we? You can first see a cop shouting at a man, asking to see his hands.
Let me see your hands. I need to see some ID. Get on the ground.
The man obeys, but he lets the cop know that he's a federal agent.
I'm a federal agent.
Get on the ground.
I'm on the ground. I'm a federal agent.
That's where the cop starts getting even more aggressive. And now he's demanding that this man get to the ground. And yeah, he's got a gun pulled out and pointed at the man this whole time. The guy wants to show the cop his credentials, but the cop won't listen. He just wants this guy on the ground. When the backup arrives, the guy has no other choice but to get to the ground.
Face down!
You guys make a mistake.
You are the one making a mistake! Settle down! Face down! Now!
The cops arrest him, and when he asks them to calm down and give him some air because he's got a medical condition, they ignore him and ask him to move his legs and get into the car. When he doesn't do it, they just tase him and put him in the car forcefully.
Down and breathe.
Let me breathe. I have a medical condition.
We're gonna get air to you. Get
No,
your legs
no.
in. Get your
Sir.
legs in. We're closing this door.
Sir,
Get your legs in.
I need air. Sir, please, call an ambulance. I'm asking for an
You
ambulance.
got a medic coming. Get in the car.
Sir, I don't need the medic. The taser didn't bother me.
You just said call an ambulance if you don't need a
Yeah,
medic.
now you don't want one. Get in the
I'll
car.
in the car. Get all
Sir,
the way
I
in.
can't
I'll
breathe.
go around.
Wait, sir.
Okay, this video is not about cops arresting federal agents, but we just had to include it as it's a prime example of cops being bullies. Two police officers with the Kansas City Police Department, Cole Modir and Marco Olivas, were following a car for a good mile in Raytown, Missouri. They stopped a car and a man comes out. One of the officers explains that they stopped him after the plates didn't come back to anything.
The plates don't come back to anything, so we should do a traffic stop on you.
He then straight up calls him bro and asks him where he's headed.
Where you at, bro? I'll be taking the okay.
The man is stumped by this and says he's a detective. The cop then tells him to chill out. While returning to their car, they can be heard calling the man names. After this uncomfortable encounter, Robinson, who is black, said that the stop was illegal. He thought he would not have been pulled over had he been white. Civil rights activists, police experts, and academics in law said that the stop was a prime example of toxic racial culture in the department. Here's one case of police arresting an FBI agent where they weren't in the wrong. This video shows cops from the Grand Rapids, Michigan Police Department running after and subsequently putting cuffs on a man who's clearly intoxicated and doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't see that in the video, but the man actually fired his weapon at the police just outside a gym. While they were putting him in cuffs, one of the officers realized that the man had a badge. When she looked at the badge, she realized a shocking thing, that the man is actually an FBI agent.
He's got a badge.
I will not hurt you, sir.
Federal Bureau of... He's an FBI agent.
Oh, wow. I would have never guessed that just from watching the video. What encounter from today's list has left the biggest impression on you and why? Let us know in those comments and subscribe to our channel for more. Till next time, stay safe, stay smart.